Hello there, you're watching Quaran-Stream, the show where Entertainment Weekly staff talk through the things they're streaming from home. I'm Senior TV Editor Gerrad Hall, and I'm joined today by Special Projects Editor Brittany Kaplan, Senior Digital News Editor Jessica Derschowitz, and Digital Writer Maureen Lee Lenker. Hello to all of you. You look great. How are you doing?
Pretty good, Gerrad. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thanks. It's a beautiful, nice day here. I'm watching dogs walk by. It's lovely. It's wonderful. You guys, if there's a common thread in the types of entertainment we're all turning to these days, it's the idea of escape and transporting ourselves to a world where we'd much rather inhabit than the one that we currently find ourselves in. And I know for a lot of us, there's no better escape than the magic of a reality where breaking into song is not only common, but encouraged. And since we all find ourselves home by ourselves with nobody to judge our singing, well, my roommate might disagree with that, but now's the time to escape with our favorite musical. So Maureen, I see there your walls are adorned with show posters, so it's no surprise you picked a classic. What informed your pick and what is it?
Yes, so my pick, it's both a classic, but maybe a little bit more obscure. It is from 1948, The Pirate. It is actually my favorite Gene Kelly movie, even though I adore Singing in the Rain and so many of his other titles. It stars him and Judy Garland, and it is absurd. Like, it is one of the campiest musicals I have ever seen. Basically, the plot of it is that Judy Garland's character is engaged to marry this wealthy older man on their Caribbean island that they live on, but she has dreams of being kidnapped and taken away by Mac the Black, the notorious pirate. And when Gene Kelly meets her, who is basically just a traveling street performer, he learns this about her, and so he masquerades as a fake version of this pirate to win her hand, and then a lot of hijinks ensue. But basically, this is the ultimate Gene Kelly thirst trap. There is a pirate dream ballet where he wears short shorts that, wow, it is... if you want an escape, it is an escape.
Maureen, I told you this, but I took a Hollywood musicals class in college, and The Pirate was one of the films that we studied, and my friends and I all became absolutely obsessed with it.
It is really polarizing, actually, among Judy Garland fans because it is super campy and her performance is over the top, and it was during the period when... she was having, towards the end of her contract at MGM, when she was having a lot of issues. But I think that it is the best example of her comedic genius. She has a scene where she gets so mad, when she finds out the truth, she gets so mad that she smashes every single thing in the room and throws it at him. And it's just comic gold, and we associate her a lot with, I think, with more dramatic roles. And it's really fun to get to see her just dive into some like really over the top farce. So I'm glad you love it too, Jess, because it's amazing.
It's ridiculous. It's so much fun though. That's definitely a good one to watch.
Well, Jessica, while we have you went with a more contemporary pick. Tell us why you find this modern musical so enchanting.
Oh, look what you did there. I'm so impressed with you. Yeah, when I was thinking of what to recommend today, I live in New York. Not obviously, I live in New York, and I really have found myself wanting to rewatch Enchanted, which is such a adorable musical. It's, obviously inverting and sort of subverting and playing on a lot of the Disney movie tropes. You've got like the princess and the handsome prince and all of that stuff, but it's just transporting it into New York and sort of playing a lot of it for comedy, but also keeping a lot of the same heart that those movies have. The score is Alan Menken, who wrote Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, all of the classics. And there's that amazing musical number in Central Park where everyone just starts getting in and singing and dancing. And the thought of being around that many people right now is maybe a little weird, but it's fun to watch, even if I wouldn't want to go do a dance number in Central Park right now myself.
That's fair. That is very fair. On the same kind of New York note, I've been thinking about Damn Yankees. And I was in that in high school, and it was just a lot of fun.
Who'd you play?
Well, of course. Oh, I was just in the chorus. That was my freshman year. I hadn't elevated to any
You
specific
were the best
status
chorus
yet.
member, I bet.
Yeah, I love that you share that high school story, Gerrad. The posters behind me are actually all shows I was in school.
Oh, really?
So
Nice.
wow.
I love that. I love that. Keeping some
That's
nostalgia
awesome.
there. All right, so guys, we got to take a quick break, but just like Evie said in Dreamgirls, and I'm telling you, I'm not going anywhere. So stay tuned. Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome back to Quaran-Stream, the musical episode. We've been discussing what cinematic musicals we've been watching to take our minds off the doldrums of quarantine, if only for an hour or two. Brittany, out of all the musicals that are out there right now, which one or ones would you recommend people turn to?
I mean, I come from a really big musical family. We love our musicals, but my family started us very early. So I was watching Gigi as a young kid. So my mind went back to Little Shop. I'm the biggest fan of Little Shop of Horrors that I can possibly begin to tell you. And I never like to tell people the plot because they will immediately say, wait, I'm sorry, I'm watching what? About a plant eating what?
Yeah.
And blood? And I'm sorry, what? But here's what I will tell you. It's Rick Moranis. It is Ellen Green, Steve Martin, Levi Stubbs. But also you've got guest appearances by Jim Belushi, John Candy, and Bill Murray, amongst others. And everybody sings. And it's so
Alan
good.
Menken
And the music is... Sorry?
It's Alan Menken music.
Yeah. It's Alan Menken. That's the other thing. It's
Cannot
Alan
go
Menken.
wrong.
It's Alan Menken. And the songs, it's like Suddenly Seymour and Skid Row and the Dentist song, which is just such a classic. And there's a remake coming out, if you guys don't know. And some of the people rumored to be in this remake include people like Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson and Billy Porter. And we're not saying that these are confirmed. We're just saying these are really cool things. So if you're going to see that, you should definitely see the Alan Menken version. There's actually another 1960 version that is out there. So I'm just saying, listen to the soundtrack, go stream the originals, plural, and then get really excited for the remake.
Maureen, you and I got a little dose of Little Shop over the last couple of months because there was the revival in New York and then another one that was happening at about the same time in LA.
Yes, it was dueling Little Shops on West and East Coasts. And they were both really interesting, fabulous casts. The one out here in LA had MJ Rodriguez from Pose playing Audrey, which was such an interesting, different take on the role. And Amber Riley from Glee was the voice of the plant, which I've never seen a woman do the voice of the plant. So it just was so different and interesting.
And then
She's so
I had
good,
Jonathan
too.
Groff as Seymour, which was really fun.
Amazing. Amazing.
All right, so you guys are obviously hardcore musical fans, but not everyone shares that same affinity for a song and dance number. So for those out there who are quarantined with one, who's such initiated, what would you recommend as a first foray into this wonderful world, a gateway musical, if you will? I think Chicago was fantastic in that way because it, of course it's a musical, but it was so much of a bigger story. You know, the murder and the intrigue and the sexiness of it, all of that. That's my pick.
Well, I would go with another Gene Kelly title, one I mentioned at the top, which is Singing in the Rain. I mean, I think it's probably the greatest movie musical of all time. And what's so wonderful about it is it's also a send-up of Hollywood and a great comedy. So in addition to the musical numbers, you can still get like that other component of the storytelling if maybe you're a little unsure about the musical aspects.
One I think in more modern time, very recent time, was Greatest Showman, because I think that, first of all, the casting in that was so brilliant because you're taking someone like Zendaya, you're taking Zac Efron, people who you know in such... you have Wolverine singing. Yeah. So, but the storyline, again, was so interesting. And then you have Keala Settle, who is such a big Broadway star, and a topic that people kind of know about P.T. Barnum, kind of don't. And the performances were just jaw-dropping. And you have someone, again, my family is more musical. My brother's maybe not as much. So someone like my brother, who is much more into his Marvel and DC comics, watching it 3 or 4 times, and he's like, what is this spectacular movie? I've never, what? I want to download the soundtrack and what's going on. So I think it's a great crossover there. And the casting was so key to that.
I went to an outdoor screening of that in a park in downtown LA, and I don't know what else was going on, but right in the moment during the big Never, there were fireworks going off somewhere behind, like in the distance. And so they were like popping up over the top of the screen. It was really this like crazy moment, but yeah, it was insane. Jess, what's your pick for the uninitiated?
Originally, I was going to say The Wizard of Oz because I think that was probably the first musical that I saw as a kid, and it's a classic, and it is literally pitch perfect from beginning to end. But then for something more modern, I think I would say Moulin Rouge. Because for somebody who's not a big like song and dance quote unquote person, the music in it is stuff that you already know that you love, and it's just so colorful and fun and wild, and it's, you know, I feel like it's just a really, really good way to sort of dip your toes in. If you're
timely, being about respiratory illness.
Look at that
too. Brought that full circle, man. All right, you guys. Well, sadly, our musical journey has come to its ending. A very good place to end. I'm Ambassador of the House, Gerrad Hall, and I'd like to thank Brittany Kaplan, Jessica Derschowitz, and Maureen Lee Lenker for joining me in this show-stopping episode. Don't forget, the sun will come out tomorrow, but until it does, stay safe and stay inside.